Hey guys, got a new daily pusher, daily driver. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today's video is just going to be a real quick walk around of the new car, so let's get to it. Alright guys, so this is the new daily driver. This is as it arrived from pickup. It has not been washed or waxed or anything. It's not perfect. There is some paint fading. It's a 1987. There's some road rash, as you can see. There's some minor paint coming off here on these edges, right? So little things like that. It's a little bit worse over here. It's a little bit of rust. Nothing terrible though. I mean, in terms of actual rust, it's not bad, right? These are not rusted out. The wheel wells aren't rusted out. There's very little rust on the actual frame, so you can kind of see here. I know it's dark and everything, and we're not really going underneath today, but we'll go underneath another day. Bird poop and everything, right? So this is how we got it. Everything for the most part seems to be working. I've got to do a brake job, so I got some brake pads in there for the front. There's lots of little itty-bitty things that are wrong that need to get handled. For example, the door actuators for the front don't work. Luckily, they locked up in the unlock position and not the lock position, so you can actually get in through the front doors. There is mold stains here, so we got to clean this up. I think it sat for a little bit underneath a tree at the guy's house I bought it from. You can kind of tell there's like this stuff is down and in there, so it just needs a good washing. Overall, it doesn't seem in bad shape. There's not a lot of rust, which is really the only thing I'm worried about. It's pretty solid. There's no water in the trunk. Don't know if those are factory wheels or not, but again, you can see even the tailpipe looks original and it's not rusted out. There's no real major rust there on the frame rail. I don't see any major rust inside the wheel well, so that's good news. I mean, a little bit of rust, again, it's 1987 car, but that's just, it's not rusted through. The body seems to be in relatively good shape. That's all I'm really worried about for this particular vehicle. Again, we can take a look and see in the interior, and the interior is not that bad shape, to be honest. It's dirty, it's dusty, it's gross, it's sat for a long time, I'm guessing. It needs all new weather stripping. Where do I get new weather stripping? I don't know, but it definitely needs all new weather stripping. The seats are in generally good shape. I grabbed some parts on the way home, so I gotta replace the antenna, and I'll show you guys that here, but that eventually needs to be replaced. The seats are really cushy. It's like sitting on a sofa while you're driving it. So we'll open up this side here. Ignore the tools. I was just about to get started working on the door panels here, and then I wanted to shoot the video. So I mean, it's not in bad shape. It's not great shape. It's not like a concourse car or a 10 out of 10, but it's in pretty good shape. Everything appears to be there. The air conditioner actually works. The heater actually works. The radio supposedly works, but we can't tell because right now the antenna's broken. So in general, it's missing a cover over there by the light, but that's fine. We can find one at a junkyard somewheres. The steering column's in decent shape. There is, again, right, so there's not a whole lot of rust going on in here. There's some grossness that needs to be cleaned. In terms of rust, I mean, there's not really that bad, right? So here's where your lock actuators will mount to. Mount to on the inside. These are riveted in. Sometimes these will be so rusted that will just rust out. Obviously, the old plastic needs to be cleaned up. The chrome's kind of pitted and gross, so I might take that off and maybe paint all the trim black or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Here's the antenna I was talking to you guys about. It's actually broken down in the inside of the housing, so that whole thing's got to get replaced. But overall, I think the car is in decent shape for what it needs to be. Like just typical 1987 car stuff, right? I don't know the mileage, so I can't tell you, you know, anything about that. There is some cracks on the dashboard underneath the cover. No big deal, whatever. The other annoying thing here is this steering wheel is absolutely disgusting. So I've got to figure out how to clean that. I mean, it's sticky disgusting. It's black and gross. So I don't know who was driving the car. Maybe a mechanic or somebody owned it for a little while and just got grease and oil and it's just slowly deteriorated the steering wheel. I don't know, whatever. We're going to replace that. One cool, interesting feature is come to the tone fidget widget. So that's cool. You can drive around, spin this thing around all day, whatever. That's got to get repaired. There are some cracks in the dashboard. Again, all the lights work. The parking brake actually works. We'll pop the hood here. It's a little dirty. I haven't cleaned it yet. But, so this is the old 5 liters from back in the day. I think they were pushing a whopping 160 horsepower, something like that. Absolutely terrible, but it drives the car in the forwards direction, so that is good enough for me for right now. We'll figure out how to do the horsepower stuff later down the road. Of course, I can't leave things well enough alone. Again, I believe it sat underneath a tree for a little while, the old owner's house, so this all just needs to be cleaned out, a good washing out of the engine bay. Like I said, in terms of rust, I'm not seeing any kind of heavy rust in here. There's obviously some rust, some surface rust on some of the components, right? But that's to be expected. But in terms of like damaging rust where radiator cores or something like that are going to need to be replaced, no. You can see down here and kind of where the actual frame rails are, that's all pretty clean. It looks like they use some kind of rust protecting at some point. Like our main bolts for the suspension and things like that, none of that's really rusted up. So I think in terms of just overall, I mean, the only thing I could really find that's really rusty and nasty is the bottom of the brake booster and this area here where the steering rack is. But I mean, you can see the brake lines, they're not really rusted either. So I think in terms of a good solid vehicle to do a little bit of work to and enjoy driving around and pretend I'm in the 80s, I think we got a good find. I do want to figure out what to do with the suspension. It is just too boaty for me, way too boaty for me. So we'll figure something out with that later. You know, in here underneath the hood, you can see there's no major rust in here. Sometimes you get inside these things here, and these are just the edges are just tore apart, just rusted to pieces. I think we'll be all right. What else do I need to say about the car? I don't know. It's from the 80s. Lots of crappy plastic, shitty paint jobs, terrible suspension, horrible gas mileage, lack of power, all that stuff. Looks like the car's going bald with its half of a vinyl top. Yeah, everything 80s is rolled up into one car right here. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a quick walk around of the new car. It's if you didn't catch it, it's a 1987 Grand Marquis. I have really no idea of the mileage that is on the vehicle. I think the person who had it before me, they purchased it and had expectations of doing a mild rebuild of it or something. I don't know. It sounded like the guy bought the car, wanted to fix it up, had really no idea what he was getting into with these older vehicles. I think he swapped out the uh, instrument cluster, the mileage that was on the title that when I purchased it from him had really not matched the mileage that's on the instrument cluster, not at all. It was nowhere even near it. So this thing only has a 5-digit mileage counter. The title said it's like 175 or something like that, and the mileage says 55 or so thousand. So I highly doubt he drove it almost 100,000 miles in the few months he owned it. I think he purchased the vehicle with expectations of slowly building it and fixing it himself. Realized how much work the vehicle was going to be. Really had no idea on how to fix certain things, and just decided the best course of action for him was to get rid of it sooner than later. I think he owned it for like 5 or 6 months or something like that. So I think that's what the situation it was with the vehicle being sold. I don't know the whole history of the car. I'm probably a 35th owner. But regardless, we're going to do a couple of fun things to the vehicle. Probably try to get it to around 400 horsepower. I feel like that's the right number for this car. So I don't know if that's just supercharge what we have, if that's say an engine swap, TBD. That's all down the road stuff. Over the next year or two, we'll work on it. Similar to kind of like what I did with the current daily driver I have, which is the Lincoln Mark 8. Just upgrade this, upgrade that, upgrade that, upgrade this. Limited slip differentials. Probably do a gear change. The normal quote unquote hot rod things you do to cars. But I'm not looking to make this a quarter mile king or a road course king. This is going to be a daily driver, something I can get in, start it up, drive it to work, be sort of comfortable in, have enough power to consider it fun to drive, and the most important thing is just reliable, right? I got to be able to get into it, start it up, drive it to work, get back in the car after a 9-10 hour day, start it up and drive home. Do that 5 days a week, year after year after year. It's got to be that kind of reliable, or we'll have to get rid of it eventually and figure something else out. So lots of videos to come on this car. It's not going to come quick. You're not going to have a weekly drop of me hot rodding this car. It's going to be, once every other month or so, a little bit of work getting done to this vehicle. But there's another project going on in the background. We also have the Jaguar XJS project. So, so many things going on right now. Just got to keep trying to get going on these things and making progress. All right, so have a good day, guys.